So, have you ever had a really bad dream? Have you ever experienced a nightmare so terrifying you woke up sweating bullets and panting afterwards? Well, multiply that terror by 1,000, and maybe then will you understand the horrifying plight of those who have suffered sleep paralysis. For those of you fortunate enough to never have experienced sleep paralysis and are not sure of what it is, it can be described as a state of semi-consciousness in which the person is physically unable to move or speak, but is mentally and psychologically aware of his or her surroundings. While this situation is disorienting enough as it is, sleep paralysis victims also experience visions of shadow people or demons and may even feel physical pain during the hallucinations. Here are 5 truly terrifying sleep paralysis stories told from the perspective of the people who experience them. Number 1. 11 years ago when I was 19, I had my first experience. It had been just several months since my family and I had moved into this new home. My room was next to my parents'. Around 3 AM, I woke up. With a quick glance across my room, my heart instantly dropped. Filled with fear and terror, I witnessed 7 or 8 black slender demon-like figures. Their movement was choppy. I jolted as they came through the walls and towards my bed. Without hesitation, I tried to get out of bed. I barely lifted my upper torso before I felt this incredible pressure gluing me to my bed. I tried screaming for my mum, but my voice was gone. Nothing. I began struggling with these demons who have now surrounded my bed. All I could do is move my head side to side, trying to keep my eyes closed, but couldn't help but look what was happening to me. Time was hard to calculate, but I think within 10 seconds of struggling, I heard a voice that calmed me down. It was soothing, like a voice of an angel.
Dan, pray to God. He's the only one who can help you.
I prayed like I never prayed before, like it was my last prayer and I did it fast. Instantly they were gone. I was able to get out of bed. I then went downstairs to the kitchen and sat down and pondered what the hell just happened. People all over the world through many centuries have experienced this with the black spirits, known as the shadow people. Most people who have come across these demons have said that they are evil, full of dread and terror. Number 2. I was in the process of getting the carpet in my apartment replaced. It's about 3 AM and I can hear what sounds like a very large dog dragging a large heavy chain across the wood. I look around my room and my alarm clock says 3 something AM each time. I try to ignore it and go back to sleep, but I can hear it getting closer. Everything in my body is telling me don't look at it. Finally, I can hear it hit the flooring in my room. Now, even with my eyes closed, I see blinding red. I feel my body depress and then a large paw on my chest, and all the air leaves my chest as this creature digs its nails in me. I feel drool on my face, then its breath. The smell of something rotting and sickening. White hot pain on both my wrists. I want to scream, but no sound comes out as its paw is still on my chest. I fight to open my eyes and look everywhere but at the creature. Something keeps telling me not to look at it. Both my wrists are chained to a rod, and I'm suspended above a flaming pit of nothingness. I can only see the shadow of a large, horned dog, like a shadow without a tail and a giant chain. The creature breathes on me and pushes harder into my chest. Then everything goes black. I then wake up around 4 AM, sitting straight up in my bed, wrist burning and chest hurting, trying to catch my breath. With the violent urge to puke, I run to the bathroom, and I puke a dark liquid. Red marks were all over my wrists, and I had scratches on my chest. It continues for weeks, until I finally go get my house and myself blessed, then sleep with a rosary on my wrist. I've had others, but this was the one that I remember the most. Number 3. One time, I was in bed and it was about 3:20 AM. I woke up, or I thought I did. I thought that I was just hungry or had to go to the bathroom or something, so I tried to get up, but I couldn't. Then, I felt something on me, on my chest. I couldn't breathe for who knows how long. It felt like forever. Just then, I realized that something was on my ceiling. It looked like a little girl with dark hair and a white dress. And yeah, I know it sounds like your regular horror story, but no, this was way different. She was a greyish colour. She was bleeding out of her eyes and her teeth were falling out on me. She was right above my face. I tried moving my arms to get out of bed, but nothing happened. I tried screaming for help, but the only thing that came out was a tiny screech. Just then, she jumped on my chest and I felt like I was being pulled up. I realized that my chest was actually elevating. I don't remember how it entered, but I do remember waking up in the morning on my floor. Imagine how scary this was for a 13-year-old girl, especially because it only happened 3 months ago. Number 4. I had a weird experience in 1979 while on holiday in Gran Canaria with my husband and 2 children, aged 4 and 18 months. Our children started to wake up in the night screaming the place down, and I had to run in and settle them down. I asked my son what was wrong, and he said the man was waking the baby up by shaking her cot and frightening her. I obviously told him he was dreaming and that there was no man. The next night, when it happened, I heard the cot being shaken, and when I ran in, both children were screaming. I told my son that he was a very naughty boy for waking his sister, but he again said that it was the man, and said that he didn't want to stay in the room anymore. I decided to sleep in the other single beds in the room with them, to settle them down. I closed the door so there was just a slither of a light. I woke up with a jump, and I felt someone tapping on both my feet. I thought my husband had sneaked in and was trying to wake me up without waking the children, and wanted what he wanted. I then felt what I thought was my husband start crawling up the bed, and suddenly realized this person was much bigger and heavier than my husband. I was absolutely frozen with fear as this thing continued crawling up me and pressing me down while making heavy gasping noises. I had the most certain feeling that this thing was not human. It felt evil and malevolent. I was trying desperately to reach my left hand across to the lamp to see what it was, but I was being held back. I have never felt such fear, and making an almighty effort suddenly reached the lamp. There was nothing there, but I am totally convinced that this was real and I was awake. We all slept in the double bed for the rest of the holiday, as I was too scared to go back in there. Number 5. So, here are my experiences, and they happen quite frequently. Before I learned to cope with it, I've seen quite a few awful things. Horror films don't really do anything for me anymore because I've already seen the most terrifying things I already could. Here's a few things I remember from the top of my head. The first is the little girl in the corner of my room, staring at me. Then, without notice, she shrieks and runs up and starts choking me. A large, dark figure, kind of a human silhouette, emerging from the foot of my bed and staring down at me. Something banging and scraping on my bedroom door. I keep it locked at night because I've had ones where it opens by itself. And no, the door isn't open when I wake up. It only opens in the dream. My bedroom door opening by itself, followed by dark figures coming into my room. The earliest one I can remember is with my mother in the room, and she's sitting on my bed. Her face morphs into a demon-like thing. The worst thing is, when you try to fight or call for help, your voice doesn't work, and your body will not respond. You just feel helpless. Oh, I need to stop trying to remember these things. I'm getting chills.
Hey guys, it's the Grim Reader. So, thank you very much for listening to this video. If you enjoyed, why not check out my other videos by clicking on the links on the screen. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Thanks a lot for listening.
really bad dream? Have you ever experienced a nightmare so terrifying you woke up sweating bullets and panting afterwards? Well, multiply that terror by 1,000, and maybe then will you understand the horrifying plight of those who have suffered sleep paralysis. So, have you ever heard of the people who experience them? Number 1. 11 years ago when I was 19, I had my first experience. It had been just several months since my family and I had moved into. For those of you fortunate enough to never have experienced sleep paralysis and are not sure of what it is, it can be described as a state of semi-consciousness in which the person is physically unable to move or speak, but is mentally and psychologically aware of his or her surroundings. While this situation is disorienting enough as it is, sleep paralysis victims also experience visions of shadow people or demons and may even feel physical pain during the hallucinations. Here are 5 truly terrifying sleep paralysis stories told from the perspective